feelings. It's like I can't walk on the.
Hi guys, and welcome back to today's video. I'm so happy to be here again talking to you guys. I know it's been a while since I've done a video like this, but I am back and better. Today I'm actually going to be telling you guys a really interesting story, and if you stay tuned until the end of the video, today I am also announcing my $50 giveaway. Woo! So, before I get started, I did want to give a little disclaimer that everything that I went through wasn't the worst situation. It could have always been a lot worse, but I'm just speaking from my experiences personally. Me personally, I feel like what I went through was, it was hard, especially around the time when I was pregnant. But I did also want to tell you guys that don't let it discourage you from moving out or making your own choices and becoming independent. So it all started when I was around 18 years old. I had already graduated, and me and Oscar were still together. We were together for about 2 to 3 years now. Could have been more. We've been together for so long that I forgot already. But at this time, Oscar was staying with his grandpa, and I hadn't moved in with him, but I would go spend the night a lot. So it kind of was like I was living with him, but I really wasn't. Like I would still go home, get my clothes and then leave. And I had my own car, he had his own car. So we were just doing our own thing. But at one point, I decided that I really wanted us to get our own place just because, we're living in someone else's house. It's not the most comfortable. You can't really do what you want. Well, we decided that it was time for us to just go ahead and find our own place. So before all of this, we were trying to move to Houston, but we couldn't get approved for anything up there because every place that we tried to apply for wanted us to have rental history, which we didn't. And then we can have a cosigner, but our cosigners were not getting approved for reasons that I'm not going to mention. But we thought it was the same way down here. So we weren't looking into getting an apartment. We were kind of looking into just renting wherever we could rent. At this time, we were also both working at E-Tech, so we could rent somewhere. And then there was this mobile home that my second or third cousin was renting, kind of in the same area that his grandpa and mom were living in. So it was not the prettiest place. It looked pretty beat up, but we went to go look at it and it didn't look that bad at first. So we decided to just go with it. Oscar's mom bought it for us. It wasn't that expensive, and then we were just gonna pay her back. And then we were also just gonna have to pay the lot rent. So if you lived in a mobile home, you pay the rent for the mobile home and then you pay the rent for the actual property. So us moving in is kind of the first part of this struggle that I'm gonna talk about. So we moved in September 2018. We had to paint it because it was an ugly color. So whenever you first walked in, to the left was the living room and the main room. And then right when you walked in was the kitchen. And then to the right was the main bathroom and then this other room. So this other room, we literally never ever went in the entire time that we stayed there. And we stayed there for about 6 months. So the reason that we never went in there is because I guess the people who lived there before were remodeling it or something. So they took off all the walls and all the floor and they just left it like that. And we weren't planning on being there for very long. So we're just gonna leave it like that. We're just gonna ignore it and just not go in there. And another thing that had happened was right when we had already been living there for a while, I was sleeping on the couch and I had a dream that there was some scary ghost or something evil was just calling me from that room. And it didn't mean anything, but it did scare me. And ever since then I was afraid of that room. So we just stayed away from that room. Another thing was that this mobile home was actually on the corner of a street. And I don't know what it was about this corner, but no matter what time of the day that you looked outside, there was people walking in front. There was sometimes even people hanging out on the corner or cars parked on the corner, maybe doing drug deals or I don't know what it is they were doing. But there was always people out there, and sometimes people would even come and knock on the door. So whenever people would come knock, I would look out the window, and a couple of times it was just a random person. And one time I opened it and it was just a lady who was asking me if I could give her a ride. So we would get these type of things a lot just because of the location of the place that we lived in. We both worked at E-Tech, but he got off 2 hours later than me. So I would go home and then I would have to wait there for him. And it was really scary because like I said, people would come knock and it was weird people. So it got to the point where I was actually scared of living there. Just because, people see us come in and out, they know it's just one young couple living there. You never know what people are trying to do. And then it got to the point where they were knocking on our door pretty late at night. So that was really scary for me. I would really just sit there and pray, please I don't want nothing to happen to me. Some of the things that were hard about living in this mobile home was the fact that it was really bad built. Like we couldn't use the window in the bathroom, and then it had another bathroom in our room, but we couldn't use that either because it just didn't work. And I don't know why we never had anyone come out and fix any of these things. Like I said, we were really young. We were not making like the best decisions. And not only that, but I guess because there was so much trash, it wasn't trash, but like so many leaves and straw type of things under the mobile home, there was bugs coming into the mobile home. So one day I was sitting there like just chilling in my Victoria's Secret robe, and I felt something crawling on me. So I fucking hate bugs. They scare the living shit out of me. I looked down and it was a fat ass roach. Like I'm, not a baby roach, the big ass roaches. It was a big ass roach fucking crawling on me. And I just got up. I was so fucking traumatized. I was like shaking and everything. And from that day on, I was afraid. Like seeing roaches somewhere, I would be afraid to live there, especially the fat ass ones. Some other things was that the stove in the place didn't work. So we had to use like a little comal to like cook whatever we wanted. And then this is funny, but not funny. And this is something that me and Oscar always look back on, and we're like, we can't believe we lived in a place like this. At the time, we really didn't mind. There was like stuff growing under the tile because one of the tiles was broken. So one day I decided to look under it, and there was like mushrooms growing out of it. Baby, I put that thing back. But yeah, like I said, this was all when we had already made plans to move out. So we were ready to get out. It's funny now looking back that we never like really complained or like thought that we were in a shitty situation. We kind of just lived our life, and we just hoped that it was gonna get better one day. So once we had been there for 3 months, it was now December, we actually found out that we were pregnant with our first baby. So we found out that we were pregnant, and that's when we knew like we have to move out of here, because I didn't want my baby living there. There wasn't even another room for him, and we didn't have like any good furniture. It was just time for an upgrade. So we decided that we're gonna get an apartment, and we did end up signing a lease for an apartment where we would move in March. Another thing that I wanted to mention was that the entire time that we lived at this mobile home, we never paid rent. Like we never paid for the lot at all. And it wasn't because we didn't want to. It's just that I think there was a huge mess going on with the management there, because we would call up to the office, we would go up to the office like the first couple of months, and nobody was ever there. Nobody would answer the phone. So we just gave up. Like, if you're not gonna be coming, asking and collecting for the rent, like we're not going to be begging you to pay you the rent, okay? So in a way, I do feel like that was God kind of giving us a stepping stone into the next stage of our life, just because not having to pay the rent helped us save money. We did have our cars to pay for, we had bills. And I don't know, I just thought it was so weird that for the entire 6 months that we lived there, no one ever came to collect rent. The only thing that happened was that an officer showed up one day looking for the original owner of the mobile home, which wasn't even the people who lived there before. Apparently, the title had never been transferred, and the people who lived there before us owed a lot of rent. It was all falling back onto the guy who originally owned the mobile home. Sorry about that, dude. Like I said, this whole place was a mess. They were even issuing evictions for people who didn't even live there anymore. So come April, we moved out. And we ended up getting our first apartment, and it was perfect. You know that feeling when you get your first apartment? It honestly feels the best. So we were still working at E-Tech. We had just got our new apartment. I had all these plans for how I was gonna furnish it. We were gonna get a bed, because we didn't have a bed. The mattresses that we had from the old place, we just left them there because they were like old now. We just planned on getting everything new. And then I was pregnant, so we already had all of our baby things because our gender reveal had already happened. So all the baby stuff was set pretty much. We just needed to get all of our furniture. So we moved in April the 1st. 3 days after we moved into our brand new apartment, I actually got fired from my job, which was the worst feeling in the world. I was already pregnant. I had so many plans of all these awesome things that I was gonna buy, and I got fired. So now I worked at E-Tech. Y'all know how it goes. Somebody put their hand on my shoulder. They gave me the I'm gonna need you to log out thing. So I signed out, And then they walked me to this little corner, and I make a joke out of everything. So I was like, is this the corner we go to when you get fired? Because I already had a feeling I was gonna get fired because I wasn't really keeping up with my hours. I was super tired because it was my first pregnancy. It was really hard on me at first. So when I told him that, he was like, yeah. And then I was like, fuck. So they pretty much told me that I got fired just because I wasn't keeping up with my schedule. And then this is so embarrassing, but I kind of started crying because like the hormones, I remember telling them, I was like, I'm not crying because I'm sad. I'm just crying because I'm pregnant and I can't help it. And I just felt so pathetic in that moment. Like I wish I would have been like, fuck y'all, you can't fire me, I quit. But no, my ass was crying. And then that manager still owes me $30 that I supposedly won one day, and he never gave them to me. But whatever, that was that. I got fired. And so I went home and I told Oscar. I was crying in the car. I felt so helpless, but he was, you know, making me feel better. He said everything's gonna be okay. I'm gonna get us through this. Just, you know, start looking for another job. Everything's fine. I, to this day, cannot believe this happened to us. But looking back, it all happened for a reason. So I got fired on, I believe, the 4th. And 2 days later, Oscar got fired from the same place. So now we were both jobless with a new apartment that we just signed a lease for. And this is when things felt like shit. Like he called me, he said that he just got fired. We didn't even work for the same little company, but somehow we both got fired in the same week. We had no idea what to do. He was so depressed, like we didn't know what we were gonna do. Obviously we're gonna find a new job, but it's not the easiest thing to find a new job. So now I had to start looking for jobs, which as a pregnant woman, it is extremely hard to look and get hired somewhere. Now, the only advantage that I had was that I wasn't that big yet, but I was getting bigger by the week. So I really felt like my time was ticking. I was super stressed out. You know, I felt like every time I went to an interview, I felt like I was lying or like I was hiding something, which why does that feel illegal? Because we know that if they know that we're pregnant, they're not gonna wanna hire us, so we have to hide it. And every time I've been pregnant and I got a job, I don't tell them that I'm pregnant because why do you gotta know? You don't ask. It just feels really stressful because we know that nobody really wants to hire us. And then once you get hired and they don't know you're pregnant, you eventually have to tell them like, hey, I'm pregnant. Sorry for withholding the truth that you didn't ask. But yeah, it's just an overall really awkward situation. So that's the situation that I was in, looking for a job while pregnant and just feeling like I was a fraud. We didn't have a bed, we didn't have anything. Someone gave us 2 couches, which we were super grateful for. So we did have like living room furniture, but we didn't have a bed. All that we had was like this little futon that we got from Walmart, which was super hard. So the way that we would sleep is that I would sleep on the futon and like Oscar would sleep on the floor. And we did this for like a long time until maybe like 1 month before the baby came. So the entire time that I was pregnant, I would really sleep on this really hard thing, and then he would sleep on the floor. And I always feel like super sad about that, like whenever I remember about it. But we did end up getting a bed like 2 months before the baby was born. So we now had a bed, and we had somebody, Oscar's super sweet grandma, buy us some, I can't believe she did this, but she bought us some, you know, like the bed dressers that you put your clothes in. And Oscar's cousin also gave us another one. So all of the things we had were pretty much things that people were giving us just out of the kindness of their heart. But yeah, we both got fired. The good thing was that a month later, he got a job at a bank, and that's the job that he's been at ever since. Now for me, things were a little bit rocky. I did end up landing a job at this gym. Time for the tea. So I got an interview at a gym in Nacogdoches, a local gym, not the purple one. Yeah, I got the job. I think it's because he thought I was pretty and I didn't look pregnant, but then my belly started growing really fast, so he realized I was pregnant and he was talking shit about me, telling the workers like, why would she not tell me she's pregnant? If I would have known she was pregnant, I wouldn't have hired her. But whatever, it was chill working there. I would just sit at the front desk and just check people in. I didn't do nothing. It did start to get hard because they moved me to the daycare, and I was taking care of like 10 kids at a time, which was because the kids were bad. And I was already big, so I was not really in the position to be taking care of all these kids. And like there was newborn babies. At one point I had like 4 newborn babies and like 5 toddlers, and it was the craziest thing ever. I literally wanted to quit because it was the worst day I had had in my life. So the thing about working there is that I wasn't really getting a lot of hours, so I did have to find a second job. I also started working at Staples. Now Staples is one of the best places that I've worked at. The only downside was that, like I said, you don't get a lot of hours there. But the Staples people were really cool about me being pregnant. Like, I didn't tell them I was pregnant when I got hired either, but he noticed because, come on, my belly's big. And he just talked to me about it, and they like offered me a stool to sit at. I would just sit at the register the whole time that I was there, and they would get me a chair. And they were really nice to me. They'd give me a lot of breaks. So I did like working there. And I actually wanted to start back working there, but they closed because of the pandemic. Sorry, Staples. But so whenever I got the second job at Staples, the owner, who was also like the boss of the gym, got really bothered because, and he would even throw sick shots. Like whenever we would have a meeting, he'd be like, oh yeah, you have a second job now. Like, yes, I have a second job because your little $8 an hour cannot sustain me. And so he would be shady like that. And then he would just be shady towards all of us. He was a shady man. Like he would make comments towards, like, it was only a bunch of girls working there. He would make comments like about our appearances. He would tell me stuff like, ooh, you look so different every time you wear your hair. I don't even recognize you. Like typical white man comment. You know, stuff like that. He would tell me like, why do you smile like that? You look like you're hiding something or like you're planning something. Like it was really fucking rude. And I would just brush it off because I'm just here for a paycheck. Things were cool there until the day that I got fired. I got fired from there because they had, okay, so there was this manager who had been there for years and it was also his girlfriend. So anyone who works there, people will still ask about her. They'll be like, where is she? Where is she? She quit or whatever, something happened. And so he had to have somebody step up for her. And so he chose somebody who was already working there, and we'll call her Christy, okay? So Christy was the manager there. And one day she texted me and she was getting on my ass telling me, why did I charge somebody $1.50 for childcare? So childcare costed $3 for an hour. These people didn't know that they couldn't bring their like older kid to the gym with them. Like if you're under 14, you got to go to the childcare. They didn't know, and they weren't going to be there long. So I'm like, okay, I'll just charge you $1.50 for half an hour, because that's what we would all do there. Like we would adjust stuff. We would just put in the charges for however. Everybody would do it. It wasn't just me. So she texted me getting on my ass saying like, why did you charge them this? And I'm going to put the screenshots right here. And I already knew how she was. You know, she wasn't the nicest person. She always had a fucking attitude. So yes, I came back to her with an attitude because you're over here tripping about $1.50. And so basically she ended up firing me. Like you can see the screenshots literally out of nowhere. And so I texted the owner thinking he was gonna help me or be on my side. And literally what he told me was, don't bother me, it's the weekend. And I was just like, what the hell? Aren't you supposed to be a business owner? Aren't you supposed to help your employees? Honestly, I shouldn't have expected more out of him. He was basically like, don't bother me. And that shocked me because I would have thought that he would have wanted to help me, but that's just how it went. And so since he didn't want to be bothered with me, I did end up blasting him on Facebook, and it got a lot of attention. If you were my Facebook friend at the time, you already know what I'm talking about. So one thing that came out of that was actually that the old manager who was there, who used to be his girlfriend, she actually came out to me. She messaged me and she was exposing him, saying that he was broke, saying that he was a woman beater, like he was abusive. And she sent me pictures, like receipts and everything. So I felt super bad for her. And she told me the real story behind why she had to leave the gym. And so him and I actually started texting back and forth because I was so pissed off. I was telling him like, I wish I still had the receipts, but I deleted them literally like 2 months ago because I was clearing up storage on my phone. But he was basically telling me, because he had seen the Facebook post, that's when he texted me. He seen the Facebook post and he was telling me that he was gonna sue me and that I needed to take it down, and that everything that I was saying was lies, and that his lawyer would be in touch with me. But at this point, like I said, his ex had came out to me and exposed him for being broke, for having sugar mamas to pay for his gym note and all that, because he, you know, let me stop telling too much, but I knew he was broke, so I didn't care that he was saying he was going to sue me. So I was like, okay, you know, I'll hear from your lawyers then or whatever. And then I told him that I knew stuff about him, and he's like, oh, so you're that woman's friend now. Okay, I see what's going on now, like a little vieja. He started acting petty, and he was like, okay, you're blocked now, bye. So he blocked me after that. And that was the last time we talked, and I never heard from his lawyer. I wasn't even worried about that because, like I said, he was broke. He only made the bare minimum to pay for his gym and barely to pay for his employees, so I wasn't worried about that at all. It just revealed to me that he was like an abusive man. He was toxic. He was not a good person. So if you're still going to that gym, just stop. You're supporting somebody who is not a good person. That's a little bit of tea that I wanted to insert into this video. So I got fired from there, but I still had my Staples job. However, it was not paying the bills at all. Pretty much since I got fired from E-Tech, Oscar was paying all the bills and I was helping him with what I could, but these two jobs were literally paying me like minimum wage. So I wasn't making a lot at all, like only enough to pay for my stuff. So I did actually end up losing my car. I used to have a Mustang and I couldn't afford to pay for it anymore because nobody wanted to hire me. So I ended up just giving it to my mom, and now that's my mom's car and she pays for it. And that was the last time that I had a car for almost 2 years. I literally just got my own car. So that was a huge struggle, losing my car, my first car that I was in love with. You know, once the baby came, now with Oscar with his new job, things did get a lot better. And then around 4 months after the baby was here, James, I ended up getting a really good job working for this cell phone retailer inside of Walmart. So that's when things finally turned around for us. We were finally not living like paycheck to paycheck. Because before that, yeah, we had food stamps, we had WIC, and that's how we were getting by, you know, getting help to buy food, to buy baby formula. I didn't even use the formula because I was breastfeeding. But those are just a couple of things that we had to get help from because we were just not in a good position. And that's pretty much where it ended. After that, things started to go up. And I did want to say, like, no matter where you are in life, no matter how shitty or bad things are always going to be better. And if they're not better, it's not the end, because life doesn't just end being bad all the time. Things are always going to be good at some point. You just have to wait for it. And now we're in a new apartment. We each have a car. We have another baby on the way. We have furniture. We have a new bed. Y'all should have seen me when I finally got that bed, the one in my video. I was so excited because we had never had a bed frame, like the back of it. We had never had that. We had always just had like the mattresses and then the box spring. So when we finally got this beautiful ass bed, life felt different. And then we have like a table. We got all the furniture that we need. So like I said, things got really great, you guys. Do not give up. Do not give up. If you're watching this and you're in a bad position, just don't give up, okay? So now, the moment that you've been waiting for. Time for me to announce the giveaway. You guys, we hit 200 subscribers in about 2 months, which I never expected, and it really ain't shit, but to me it is. With our 200 subscriber giveaway, I am doing my second Cash App giveaway. So if you were here for the first one, you already know how it works. The rules are, you have to, 1, leave a comment under this video with your favorite emojis and your Cash App name. 2, you need to like the video, and then 3, you need to be subscribed to the channel. I am going to be checking for that because some people like to pretend they're subscribed, and I want to give this away to people who are truly supporting. If you are the winner, I am going to ask you for a screenshot that you can send to me on any social media. We'll keep in touch about that. The way it's going to work is that I'm going to be giving away $50. However, I am splitting it into 2. So I'm going to give away $25 to one winner and $25 to a second winner. So there's going to be 2 winners this time, you guys. And so you have double the chance of winning. Just make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe, and then share this video. That way we can try to grow our family a little bit more. And once we hit 500, I'm going to have something extra special for you guys. So let's try to get there quick. But good luck to everyone. Once again, thank you so much for supporting me. So much love for you guys. Have a wonderful day wherever you are, and I will see you guys next time.
Feelings. It's like